Hi guys, it's Debbie, and today I would like to speak about the fifth installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Dead Men Tell No Tales, also known as Salazar's Revenge, a swashbuckler film directed by Joachim Ronning and Espen Sandberg. Pirates of the Caribbean is a series of action fantasy films which mainly follow the life of eccentric pirate Captain Jack Sparrow, which is eternally in trouble fighting against a series of enemies he has piled up over the years. He is portrayed by Johnny Depp. Although he may appear foolish and often drunk, he is actually fast-thinking, cunning, and manages to get out of the most difficult situations, often thanks to the help of fellow pirates. So alongside all the fighting and escaping, the series covers topics such as family unity, friendships, loyalty and betrayal, and it also includes supernatural elements such as witches, mermaids, curses, ghosts, and so on. If you're new to the franchise, you can easily watch Dead Men Tell No Tales with no knowledge about the previous 4 films because the main concepts are easily explained and reintroduced. In Dead Men Tell No Tales, the characters are on the search for the Trident of Poseidon, a legendary object which could potentially break all of the sea's curses. The main villain is Salazar, a former Spanish captain reduced to a ghost which travels the seas slaughtering pirates on his eternal search for his arch-enemy Captain Jack Sparrow. He is portrayed by the Oscar-winning actor Javier Bardem. The Pirates of the Caribbean series had set off on a really good foot, but the latest installment on Stranger Tides had really let me down. It was well over 2 hours of complete boredom. Johnny Depp didn't convey a fraction of what he used to while portraying Jack Sparrow. The plot was slow and definitely not engaging. Penelope Cruz's character Angelica was unconvincing and close to annoying, and the only really good part was the ending, but which again was dragged out to a boring extent. So when I went to see Dead Men Tell No Tales, I, as many other people, was extremely wary and worried for what I was in for, but I was completely mistaken. This 5th installment was absolutely fantastic, with all of the early Pirates of the Caribbean fun and excitement. It was clever, it had a good and interesting plot which actually kept you following right until the end. The characters were well built, and Jack Sparrow is once again the ridiculous and eccentric captain we were used to. This film introduces 2 new, very well built characters. The first one is Henry Turner, portrayed by Brenton Thwaites. He is the good-at-heart son of William Turner, an old friend of Jack Sparrow. The second one is Karina Smith, portrayed by Kaya Scodelario. She is a very clever astronomer which is often mistaken for a witch because of her knowledge. She holds important clues to finding the Trident of Poseidon, but because she is a woman of science, she doesn't believe in the supernatural and is often annoyed because of the pirates' rambling nonsense. I found both characters wonderfully built because they represent the complete opposite of the environment in which they are set. Henry is good at heart and not very violent, while Karina is extremely intelligent. I also found that there was an interesting chemistry between these 2 characters as opposed to the usual relationships built by the other Pirates of the Caribbean characters. When compared to the usual dialogue brought on screen in previous chapters, these characters interact in a totally new manner, introducing a much deeper and personal structure to their discussions. In general, this film still maintains its old style of dialogue with one-liners, pirate jokes, insults, and general fun, but it also doesn't hesitate in introducing deeper emotions, richer storytelling, and better dialogues. For example, there's one scene in which Salazar narrates his troubled past with Jack Sparrow, and we can really feel his everlasting anger and resentment, whereas in other films the portrayal of these feelings would have been just limited to a cold depiction of their past together. Salazar was actually one of my favourite characters in this movie because in addition to the deep analysis of his furious and resentful personality, his visual portrayal is fantastic, as he appears to walk normally, but at the same time his body is floating in his surroundings, his hair is flapping around his face, and he appears just as we would expect a cursed person to be. His body and the body of all his sailors are flayed, destroyed, with cracked up skin. His ship appears as a skeleton which opens up and devours anything it encounters, and everything on board appears to come to life. In my personal opinion, he is one of the most frightening villains to ever be introduced to a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Johnny Depp was fantastic in his role of Jack Sparrow, bringing us all back to the times in which we were excited to see just how he would get out of a situation. His jokes were groan-worthy but funny, and he didn't bore us like in On Stranger Tides. Dead Men Tell No Tales is the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie to not include a soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. Instead, it is created by one of his long-lasting co-workers, Jeff Zanelli, which actually already worked on the previous 4 films. Obviously, all of the Pirates of the Caribbean films must be watched with a certain mindset. They are made to entertain, because although they offer some food for thought, they introduce deeper and darker topics, they mainly aim at laughter and creating a visually stunning plot. I don't agree with many extremely negative reviews of Dead Men Tell No Tales, because there is an evident attempt at creating a better and deeper character development and analysis, which had been abandoned along the road with the previous installments. I agree that the film was too long, all of them are, and that the ending was dragged out a little too long, and there were some jokes which could have been avoided, but the rest of the film, in my personal opinion, was very well built. Let me know what you thought about Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales with a comment here below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for many more movie related videos. See you soon. Bye.